when we talk about scientists, we usually think that, this person was like a topper from like, first standard to like 12th.
High schoolers, they have this dream of going abroad. And you know that any top institution would not take unless they have some research on their resume.
If that person is even a tiny bit impressed by you, there's a good chance they can say, let's hop onto a Zoom.
Science and religion, together. So have you felt any contradictions? Because some people say science is all logic, just as spiritual or something religious. Hi everyone, this is Prashant and this is BrownScholars. This is truly a remarkable day because I'm having someone very, very special. I've known him for almost as long as 6-7 years now, and we were waiting for this day where he gets what he deserves. We wholeheartedly welcome one of the leading physicists of our current generations, Mr. Oem Trivedi.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor.
Yep. Oem, thank you for joining us. Well, what and why this podcast is going to be remarkable? Well, you will have to listen to this podcast till the end, and we would be talking about Oem's remarkable journey in the field of research in physics, how he has done. He is a prodigy. He is an absolute young scholar, and it's going to be a tremendous amount of inspiration for all people who want to get into research. So, Oem, let's get started. Thank you again. So just a brief introduction of yours to our audience.
Yeah, sure. Firstly, thank you so much once again for the invite today. It's always been a delight talking to you, and it's been an honor knowing you. So yeah, my name is Oem. As sir said, I am a physicist. I work specifically in the field of astrophysics and cosmology. So basically my work is seeing why the universe is the way that it is today, how it will be in the future, and why did it even begin with, to just say in a very short while. So if you would have ever heard about Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking, Roger Penrose, these people, they worked on black holes, how gravity works, what is space-time and all that is exactly my field. And if somebody in the audience has seen the Big Bang Theory, then it is mostly like what Sheldon does. So I'm a theoretical physicist, and I did my schooling from Indore.
You're from Indore?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And I did most of my undergrad in Ahmedabad, and specifically I worked there in the International Center for Space and Cosmology at Ahmedabad University at that time, and now I will be going for my PhD at Vanderbilt University as a Vanderbilt Discovery Doctoral Fellowship. At the same time, I am a researcher at Harvard's Galileo project team, which is the leading team for finding extraterrestrial life in the world.
Wow.
And at the same time, I have my main advisor at Vanderbilt, and I have two more advisors at Harvard and Princeton. So I will be having two co-advisors from Harvard and Princeton.
Wow. So for all of you guys, Oem just said that he would start his PhD at Vanderbilt University in conjunction with professors of Harvard and Princeton. Now that's absolutely remarkable, Oem, and congratulations for getting your PhD. Is this PhD fully funded, and do you have any stipend also?
Yes, so this PhD is fully funded, and I have a very healthy graduate stipend. Like my total financial package for 1 year comes around to be 140K, and that covers everything, which is which is tuition. So I have gotten full tuition remissions.
Lovely.
Yeah, I have a my financial package even covers the health insurance and stuff like that.
Brilliant.
Also travel costs for like conferences, and on top of this, so there is this very prestigious doctoral fellowship which Vandy only gives to like a very few students every year, which is the Discovery Doctoral Fellowship, and I've got that as well.
Wow. So probably this is one of the highest PhD packages that I've heard in recent times. And that's going to be for 4 to 5 to 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. This is amazing, guys. PhD is fully funded if you want to know how it works in research. So if you get selected as a doctoral student, usually in United States, it's fully funded and you do get a stipend also. And of course, what kind of package it would, that depends on your profile and university to university.
Yeah.
So I think, going back in times, you are a theoretical physicist, a researcher. And I think people should know that you've got into PhD right after bachelor's. right? You did your bachelor's in physics. You know, tell us this journey. When did you realize that you wanted to become a researcher? And I have seen that, you know, last 6-7 years, as far as I have known you, you know what you want to do. You know, this is my area of research. How did you find? Because the only problem in today's society is we are not able to understand what we want to do, our academic calling, right? For you, what was that epiphany or tipping point when you thought that, okay, this is it, this is what I want to do for rest of my life?
Yeah. So thank you for that question. Firstly, to like clear some myths, I haven't been someone, so like when we talk about scientists, we usually think that this person was like a topper from like first standard to like 12th. I wasn't like that. In fact, till like 6th grade, I wasn't even interested in science to begin with.
Yeah.
I was one of those students, who just used to, do WWE moves in the school.
Okay. I know you were pretty big. Yes.
And so, eventually what happened is, so my mother, was a principal in the Vela Arts and Commerce College in Indore.
Okay.
And on one very fine day, by chance, I went to my mom's college, and the administrator of the college, had a screening for a documentary, and the title of that documentary was E equals MC square.
Oh, okay.
So this was a commerce college, so you can imagine most people wouldn't think
No science
much of it, but my mother said you should come at least. So I went there. I wasn't even into science, and that documentary, so in that documentary they basically dissected every term of that equation. So by E they showed the life of Michael Faraday. By M they showed the life of Antoine Lavoisier, the person who gave us the law of the conservation of mass.
Okay.
By C they told us about the life of James Clerk Maxwell, and they then basically got all of that together and then showed the life of Einstein. So Einstein was actually a patent clerk, working in an office in 1905. He didn't get like good recommendation letters from like any professor, and so he didn't have even a PhD degree at that time.
Okay.
He was just working out of his will in a patent office. He was newly wed, he had children, and he was struggling financially, he was struggling in every way. And I just saw that, and then I realized that this person worked on this thing in 1905. This is more than 100 years after that, and now we are making movies on him. So basically I realized on that day that the only way to actually be immortalized by your ideas is through science, because if you can give even one idea which can transcend generations, then eventually you will be immortal. And like let's say 200-300 years from now, we wouldn't be knowing how many billionaires were in the world in 2025.
Correct.
But we will always know there was one Albert Einstein in 1905, or there was one
Newton. Yes.
So then I realized there is something deep in life. And then secondly, so there was one big thing in my life. So in 2015 I became very close to someone who we know as Lord Vishnu.
Oh.
I read the Bhagavad Gita, and since then I became
Bhagavad Gita you read. What age you were when you read?
So I was 14 at that time. I was
14.
Yes. And I was in 8th class. And very interestingly, once I read that, I became very engrossed by his teachings, and since then I have considered him my guru. And
Good.
after that, so people, everybody who would be watching this and is doing PCM or like science in 11th standard, they would know about this book H.C. Verma.
H.C. Verma, yes, the legend.
Yeah, so they do it in 11th class. Right after Gita, somehow I started to like do it in 8th grade only.
Oh, okay.
Started off my journey.
That was an early start in 8th at H.C. Verma, right?
And that was all self-study, like mostly. So I always feel whatever I am doing, there is the hand of Lord Vishnu on top of it, and somehow I just keep on doing it by his divine hands on the top. And just for a postscript, very interestingly, what happened is later on when I started to write papers, I got in touch with the actual H.C. Verma as well.
You got in touch with that? Okay. Did you talk to him?
I'm still in touch with him. He actually congratulated me on my book as well.
Brilliant. Okay. You've written a book also.
Yes, yes,
What's
yes.
that?
So I have written my first book, and it is co-authored with Professor Maxim Klopov. He is one of the leading, Russian astrophysicists in the last 50 years. We wrote a book in a series by World Scientific. So our book is the 16th volume in that series. It is a research monograph. So basically it is aimed for postdocs. It is aimed for advanced PhD students. I wrote that while I was an undergrad.
There you go.
The 16th volume is written by me and Professor Klopov. The 8th volume is written by Stephen Hawking.
Wow, that's remarkable. Now, you said that you were 14 and of course, EMC square play and then the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Vishnu influence, right? But who, held your hand for research and that guidance, or you were all alone treading on that journey? For a few years till you went to London or some other place for conference, which we will be discussing. But for initial 2, 3, 4 years, who was holding your hand for research? Did you connect to any physics professor or something like that?
Firstly, I would say in this regard that my parents were like very supportive from the start, because the thing is, normally, there is one issue with like parents in India that they think that only a few fields can actually save their child's life, but they don't realize is that those fields, like if we talk about engineering, if we talked about being a lawyer, being a doctor, there were some path breakers in the 60s, 70s when we were not as well off as a nation, right? And in those times, there were some path breakers who went to the US, right? Did their degrees over there and started to basically dominate. So like in the 70s, 80s, if you think about it, Wall Street was being slowly infiltrated by traders like quant analysts from India.
Correct.
Right, and that was perfectly fine at that time. So that was a perfectly fine field, but it is now 50 years on, and India has developed a lot, and we have a lot more options in our life. So my parents were like very appreciative of this. So my father Oem Trivedi and my mother Shikha Trivedi, they were like very appreciative of this. And I actually took a drop after my 12th class, and not for some exam. I just told them that I want to write papers now. So they said, you really want to? And I said yes. And at that time, I also wanted to like prepare for SAT, and that was the first time I met you. Yes. And you also said that you should go on this path. Of course, at that time I had no one to actually guide me on how to write the paper.
Research papers. उसके पहले तुमने कितना क्या पढ़ लिया था, ये थोड़ा बताओ कि पेपर्स लिखने का कॉन्फिडेंस वो आने तक आपने कितनी पढ़ाई कर ली थी?
Yes, so basically, sir, till 10th class, I was like good enough in linear algebra to the level of a undergrad. So basically I knew math, I knew matrices and all that in 10th grade. By 11th class मुझे differential equations जितना आता था जितना किसी undergraduate बच्चों का आता है. And I was good enough with quantum mechanics till the level of a graduate student.
Quantum mechanics, okay.
Till the level of a graduate student while I was starting my 12th grade. And so out of just basically, I sometimes think कि my life is like this कि if we stand on a cliff for a long time, and if we think now I will jump. So we spend a lot of time thinking about how we will jump, but like sometimes we just have to jump and we will swim. Right. And so once I was like good enough with a lot of stuff in quantum mechanics, I just said कि अब मैं papers पढ़ता हूँ. Okay. And I started to read on my own. For like 2-3 months I didn't get anything. कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा था कुछ.
Okay.
But then eventually what I did was I was reading the papers and I tried to redo the calculations in my own notebook.
Okay.
And eventually I actually started to do the calculations which those guys were doing, and I started to redo it, and I was able to actually redo the calculations. So that was an insane motivation for a 12th grade student to actually be doing the exact same calculations as some professors.
और वो उसी समय समझ में आने लगे ये हो रहा है, ये समझ में आ रहा है. Okay.
And eventually, let's say if somebody does not know what chess is, if that person keeps on watching games of chess, eventually they will know what moves are happening. And eventually I started to get ideas कि अगर इसमें ये किया है, so if I do this, शायद तक वो कुछ और हो जाएगा. And that's how I ended up on my first ever paper.
ब्रिलियंट. और वो पेपर्स पढ़ने के लिए आपने कुछ सब्सक्रिप्शंस बाय किए?
So one very fortunate thing in regards for STEM at least is that we have this preprint server known as Archive. So on Archive, people, so like all the professors, researchers, they actually put their papers before being published in a journal, and so Archive is fully free. So we do not have to give any subscription for that. So if anyone is watching and is in STEM, they can have the access of almost any paper written in STEM fields in the last 30 years, because 30 years purana hi archive. And so I was very fortunate in that regard ki I was from STEM, so all my papers were on archive. I didn't have to subscribe to anything, because I think if it was for like humanities or like something like that where subscriptions were needed, I wouldn't have done that. But like at least for STEM, this is like a very good thing, and people are trying for like archive like servers for like other non-STEM fields.
Wonderful. And I think your journey is tremendous boost to STEM, because it's little deplorable state of STEM right now, and specifically everybody is running for engineering or maybe something applied. What is your take on current state of science in India as far as research is concerned, right? Because you have gone through that stage, you are going to pursue your research in a very free environment where research is fostered, STEM is encouraged. What has been your observation for past few years as far as science and research in India?
This is like a very interesting and actually very deep question, because I will just like to tell this by an analogy. All right, so what happened was in 2021 I had like written like four papers I had published in cosmology. I was like a second year undergrad student at that time. So there is this grant for like travel by the DST, Department of Science and Technology.
Okay.
They only had one requirement.
Okay.
You should have two papers published. So I was like, okay, so I could possibly apply for this and go to some conference in CERN or something like that.
Wow.
Right. Now what happened is I applied for that and I got a response that you have more papers published than the requirement, but you are an undergrad, so we cannot give you.
Oh my God. Okay.
So this was very odd for me, because this should be actually appreciated if somebody is doing something.
Yes.
Your expectations. Now.
And they should make an exception even if there is a rule.
Yeah, absolutely. And now the thing is, completely, besides that thing, when I started to understand, how programs work in like, top tier US institutions, I got to know that if let's say some of their PhD students have written some papers, even where the professor or their guide is not the co-author, and if they get a chance to actually go to some European place for some presentation, the place completely funds it on their own. You do not have to apply for anything. And that is a stark contrast. So it is not about the grant money or something like that. It is about appreciating what somebody is doing at that time, because we say that people go, we have brain drain and all that thing, but somehow we need to introspect that it is only due to our own lack
our follies.
And secondly, certainly India has an amazing amount of talent in STEM, and I feel people call me a prodigy, but I think there are possibly hundreds or like 500s of like Oem Trivedis across the country. But somehow it is luck or like divine miracle that like I am doing this, but like maybe some of those people are just in some like in some of their entry level jobs in like CS or like stuff like that. And it is great to have talent, but it is more important to appreciate the talent as well.
And I think I am sometimes really surprised that I think till 12th, as far as math is concerned, we are one of the best in the world along with China, right? And that entire STEM and math talent is not, given the right cultivation. And by the time they finish their undergrad, they're running for the job-oriented fields, not the core sciences, where actual math is utilized.
Sir, actually, even in that sense, I have one observation. So, like, till 12th class, there is this collective, falling mentality from the parents, from the teachers that 12th tak pad lo, fir maze. So if somebody is studying something, let's say somebody has an interest in anime creation, right? तो उनको उनके घर वाले बोल देते हैं कि आप 12th तक ये कर लो, फिर तुम बैठ के ड्रैगन बॉल जी देखना, नारुतो देखना एंड ऑल दैट. So somebody, let's say, cracks all the exams needed for like engineering, goes to some big engineering school in the country. So now that person, उसके दिमाग में एक्चुअल में यही है, इतने साल से वो यही कर रहा था 12-13 घंटे पढ़ के कि अब मैं एनिमे देखूंगा. And all of a sudden they come to the school and they realize that whatever they were doing for the past 3 to 4 years, मन मार के, now they have to do it at an even more intense pace to actually live in life.
True.
And then क्या बोलते हैं, 4 साल ये कर लो फिर मज़े करना. And फिर एकदम से क्या होता है, no, now you go for CAT, now you go for MBA. And then eventually if they even do the MBA, now they're like अब मज़े करेंगे, and then they have to go to some McKinsey, some Goldman, and then they have to work harder than they have ever worked. So people are working not by their own desires, but by some premonitions which were given to them when they were in 9th class. And it is in stark contrast because
society is making do that.
Let's say somebody is in 12th grade in India and somebody is in 12th grade in USA. Now the other person goes to, let's say, Brown, right? And this one goes to, let's say, some IIT. Now the Brown kid, if that person is going for engineering, he is actually going for engineering and he is passionate about it, while the other person is most likely driven by कि लोगों ने बोला हुआ था कि अब आप आराम कर लो.
At least only goal is to end the financial misery, nothing else.
Yes. And the brown person is going to spend his peak years of talent actually cultivating it, while the other person is not going to do it because they have a lack of purpose at this time, while that person knows his purpose. So after 4 years, the brown person will of course be better. And secondly, the thing is, अपने इंडिया में also the other thing is campus placements. So people advertise this thing कि campus में placement हो गया 1 crore and all that. Have you ever heard Harvard say कि हमारे यहाँ से
No, never.
200K का निकला and all that?
We will teach you. We will make you ready for the world.
Because I have this friend from Stony Brook. And so in second year he told me that he got into this internship and he worked for like 1 to 1.5 months, and all of his professors told him to actually build good relations with the person in the internship. He was in a small fintech.
Okay.
So he built good relations. He was an NBA fan, so they connected well. And after 2 years, when he was graduating, so that person of that fintech asked him, what are you doing now? So he said, I don't have any idea. I will see after this. So that fintech guy connected him with someone at Goldman. And then, they had this interview with him with no application or nothing, just by that one referral by the fintech guy. And right after his Stony Brook, he got into Goldman. So, apne यहाँ पे people do internships only for the sake of it, while they do not know how to actually build connections. And in real life, as well, that connections take you the longest way.
Absolutely.
People only grow as students and not as actual human beings.
Yeah. And all these things that Oem is talking, and of course some are in most contextual to United States, and that's why we are very passionate about study abroad, because once you are there in a system which is full of meritocracy, where it is all authentic, I think if you work hard and if you know what you want to do, things will work out for you. Great. So Oem, I think अब आपकी प्रोफाइल से बहुत सारी इंस्पिरेशन लेते हुए, I think जब बच्चे हाई स्कूलर्स 9th 10th 11th में होते हैं, they have this dream of going abroad, right? And that any top institution would not take unless they have some research on their resume, right? And not just research for the sake of it, as you say, some good real work, right? वो कैसे उस चीज़ को अप्रोच करें, बिकॉज उनको कुछ नहीं पता है. दे आर रैंडमली राइटिंग टू IIT और an IT professor for a 15 day research internship. So how they write papers, how do they do those projects which can really help them build their profile, but at the same time they should be able to find that this is what they want to do.
Yeah, so that is like a very deep question, because sometimes people think that like for example, like mostly if somebody wants to go into like a top tier STEM institution in the US,
yes,
so they feel for the undergrad they only have to do the Olympiads, but now that is actually a very falling point, because the thing is, let's say you get an Olympiad medal, right? Now somebody from Bulgaria also got an Olympiad medal, somebody from Chile also got an Olympiad medal, but everybody is applying to Princeton. So what is your differentiating factor which actually tells Princeton that you are a good researcher in the upcoming times?
Correct.
So they want so they do not want only people who can do something in 3 hours. They want someone who can actually spend like 3 months on one idea and come up with something which is not known to humanity till now. They want someone who can create new knowledge, at least if you want to go for research. So this fundamental difference between classroom teaching and actual research is something which lacks in India, both in the school level and of course even in the undergrad level. So if let's say somebody is in India and they want to start off with like research in the high school level, they should actually firstly see that there are a lot of options beyond just Bal Vigyan or something like that. So like for example, there is the Intel ISF.
What is that?
Intel ISF.
Intel ISF, okay.
And that is like the biggest science forum in the world, and it happens every year, right? And only some very elite schools in India, like St. John's Cathedral in Bombay or like Doon, mostly the thing is that the awareness about such programs is only known to like people from like such schools, because they have had some seniors who did it. But like if students from the other schools also know about it, they can eventually start preparing something. They can actually of course what happens is mostly the teachers in the school days, they are not very research oriented. But what I will say might sound contradictory, but you are better off getting a response from someone in Cambridge than hoping a response from someone in an IIT. And that is because I have had this experience only, because like the reason I could actually put papers on the archive was because there was a postdoc at Cambridge, Sunny Vagnozzi.
Wow.
He endorsed my paper on the archive. And if it wasn't for his endorsement back in 2020, I knew no one in India. I actually told 5 professors in India to endorse me, and they said that they cannot endorse because they do not have the endorsement rights. For the endorsement right, you need to have like 3 or 4 papers in the recent years as the first author. They didn't even have that.
Wow. Oh my God. Okay. That's surprising.
That's the problem with our Indian culture, is that you want the results at the level of Cambridge, but you need to also provide some support at that level. Like of course I was not gonna give something back to the Cambridge postdoc. He didn't do it for that reason. He did it for the reasoning that it is good for science. And so if you want to approach someone, I think be very courageous and actually write some good emails, not like dear sir / ma'am, not those kind of mails. Write good emails to like some professors from abroad if you do not get responses from India, and try to approach them with some ideas. If they have the time, they will actually collaborate with you, and do not only think about the US. I got my first endorsements from professors in Japan and Argentina.
Wow.
Chigak Itoi and Mario Rocca, and interestingly, Chigak sir actually wrote a recommendation letter for me back in the undergrad days.
Brilliant.
So I'm saying that firstly some people have to be self-motivated. They have to like scan through the web. They have to like see the papers. Of course you will not understand everything on the high school level, but you have to like see what who are the people who are working in your interest area, and try to approach them and write some share ideas, not just request something, give me an internship. Nothing like that.
Okay.
Share ideas.
I think everybody's just attaching a resume and they say, I want an internship under you.
No.
You need to have some content to share. Your brain should be there in the email actually.
Yeah.
So how you are thinking, and what kind of an idea you are sharing, and it doesn't matter, you would not realize how great it is, but at least share it.
Yeah. And like let's say even if your idea is not the next Nobel, of course, like if that person is even a tiny bit impressed by you, there's a good chance they can say let's hop on to a Zoom, let's have a talk. Then that's your
one break. Yeah.
Then that's your ticket of like 30-40 minutes to like impress the other person, and if the other person is impressed, they can schedule weekly meetings with you. And actually people might think that this is all impossible. No, this all happens in real life. this is all happening around the world, but the thing is that mostly people in India do not know about this कि ऐसा ऐसा हो सकता है, because they do not see people around them being this supportive. But I have experienced and I'm very grateful that I have had mentors like you. I have had mentors, most of the people who I have not even met in real life till now.
It's all emails.
Yeah.
Wow. Or Zoom maybe at max. Yes.
And in fact, the person with whom I have written the book, Professor Maxim Klopov, we have mostly chatted through mails only, through mails, Zooms and all that. And I mean, and now we have a book with the series where Hawking was an author. So everything can happen if you have the will for it. You need to have some insane will. You need to be self-driven. And I think Cristiano Ronaldo once said that if you need motivation to wake up every day, you're not doing the thing strong enough. So you need to be motivated every day on your own. You do not need someone else, or like अब मैं आज संदीप महेश्वरी देखता हूँ, फिर मैं कोई सा
motivation is maybe it's not going to be lasting forever.
Yeah, you need to be intrinsically motivated for like one thing, for like one desire. And personally I feel you should strive for some everlasting greatness in life. Like कुछ ऐसा करो जिससे आपका कुछ विकिपीडिया पेज बन पाए.
That's interesting. ये बताओ कि बच्चे जब ये 9th-10th में STEM सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़ रहे होते हैं तो तुमको पता है मैक्सिमम बच्चे उससे दूर ही जा रहे हैं, फिर वो जाके कॉमर्स ले लेते हैं. बट ऐसे क्या टॉपिक्स हैं, ऐसे क्या सब्जेक्ट्स हैं जो जिन पर उनको काफ़ी खास ध्यान देना चाहिए? जैसे अगर मैं फिज़िक्स की बात करूँ, मैथ्स की बात करूँ या केमिस्ट्री की बात करूँ, तो कौन से इनके ऐसे सब्जेक्ट हैं जो इनको आगे रिसर्च से लेके मास्टर्स में या यूजी में हमेशा इनके लिए एक फाउंडेशन बनेंगे?
Yes, that's a very good question. In fact, I would say that mostly if you want to pursue STEM research in like any degree after your high school, you should let's say if you want to become a physicist, then it's not like कि ऐसा नहीं होगा कि मैं fluid mechanics अच्छे से पढ़ लूँगा but मैं electromagnetism बाद में पढ़ूँगा. It's not gonna happen like that. मतलब you need to be equally devoted to like everything, and like if you love the subject enough, you will love everything of it. Yeah. But I'm not saying that let's say if you want to be a physicist, then you need to know all the reactions of organic chemistry by hand. No, that's not. Nobody's gonna ask you that after your 12th. Right, but it's not. But I'm not saying that you do not know what Finkelstein reaction is or something like that. I'm not saying that. However, the thing is that you should go to some extent above and beyond what is being taught in the school as well. Let's say school में आपको पढ़ाया है कि देखो Planck constant ये होता है. Planck constant की वैल्यू है. Everybody, most of the students know कि Planck constant की वैल्यू ये होती है. क्यों होती है? Why exactly that value?
I think this why is still missing from our education system. That encouragement to ask why, even in the smallest thing, why it's still missing.
Yes, and like once you actually start the why, you go down a rabbit hole, and that rabbit hole can lead you to actual good insights. And in fact, the other thing which you mentioned, right, that we have a very good syllabus like China.
Yeah.
But eventually we go down in the research because the other people are asking the why. They are not only solving the
questions. Yeah.
So like that is one thing, and secondly, I would say that if you want to go into any quantitative field, then you need to be really good with the math. Like you need to be very good with the math, and math is something at the start when I was starting off with the HC Verma, I was even I was like this is like very hard and all. It just took me 2 months to actually assimilate myself with math.
Yes, brilliant.
And like eventually math seems like poetry after some time. Like
such a beautiful statement. Yeah.
Like you can think of it as a tool to actually help you understand the world.
Yeah.
You can just think of it as some abstract poetry which is written for the universe.
वो कहते हैं ना कि मैथ और गणित और संगीत ये दो ही प्रूवन साइंस है दुनिया में.
जी वो बिल्कुल सही बात है.
वंडरफुल. क्या चेंज तुमको लगता है कि इंडियन एजुकेशन सिस्टम में स्कूल लेवल पे और अंडर ग्रेजुएट लेवल पे होना चाहिए? एक 2-3 चेंजेस अगर आप कुछ एग्जांपल दे.
जी बिल्कुल.
या आपको जो लगता है?
जी बिल्कुल. सबसे पहले तो मैं बोलूँगा कि जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल वी हैव अ गुड सिस्टम एक्चुअली विच इज़ बाल विज्ञान. So बाल विज्ञान में आई डो नॉट नो if it is for state boards, but like it is at least for CBSE. So usually when I was in my school, I think it is still the same that you have this this short program of like 1-2 months, that there are like 3-4 students chosen, and they work on some project and they present it in some school, and they get a certificate. But that is the end of it. They
खत्म हो जाता है, सर्टिफिकेट मिल गया बस खत्म.
there's nothing beyond it. So firstly, I think the one reason why parents actually push their students towards engineering, doctorate, or like stuff like that is because they see incentives. So if we smallly, if we start incentivizing science, like for example, somebody did very well in Bal Vigyan at state level. Okay, so then there is a national part. Okay, you did very well over there. Now the fact is, you don't only get like a certificate, but you get a ticket to the ISF. You go to Intel ISF in New York, and then you represent India. Then that feeling of representing India, that's gonna be something for which parents would want their,
Like you have in sports, you should have in education also, in research also.
absolutely. And like there was this thing that Richard Feynman once said that science will like thrive the most when scientists will be treated like baseball players. I mean,
Yeah, the celebrities. Absolutely, I agree.
and like exactly that, because like once the parents realize that there are some incentives, and because there is this very strong myth that people think that आप science पढ़ लोगे आप पागल हो जाओगे, scientists पागल होते हैं. That's not true at all.
No, that's such a bad myth. Yes.
I mean, some of the most extroverted, some of the most loving people that I know are scientists, and those people have like even been very kind to me as well. So I know that, and that is for the high school level. Allow them to like go to Intel ISF, allow them to like go to Africa Science Buskers Festival, allow them to see that if you pursue this thing, the one thing with science, which I think is not available with the other fields, is that you can get connected globally very easily. Because
And specifically in today's scenario.
yeah, absolutely. So like once they actually start to realize that okay, I can get some global recognition for this thing, so then people are going to strive for it, and even the parents are going to strive for it. And on the undergrad level, like for example, we just said that people do internships for the sake of it. There are loads of collaborations in the world, like there is loads of research groups, working groups in Stanford and SLAC, right? There are working groups of the European Union.
Okay.
So it could happen, and it would be the best if, let's say, state governments or like central governments tie up with some of those research groups across the world. And let's say if there is some undergrad who has like published like 3 to 4 papers,
All right.
as the first author, or like and in real serious journals, not the predatory journals, right?
What is a predatory journal? People should know this because everybody pays some money, 30-40K, and then getting their paper published. So what are the predatory journals?
Yes, sir. So I mentioned about Professor Chigaki to you, right? That Japanese professor.
Japanese, yeah.
So actually, my first paper, I had like submitted it to a predatory journal, right? And it was accepted within a week. So I was like very happy that this is my first paper, it is getting accepted. I shared it with him, and he told me, and I still remember, that you have a glorious career ahead in science. You will tarnish it completely if you publish it over here. It is a predatory journal. And that was the first day I got to know what a predatory journal is.
Oh, okay.
Predatory journal or a predatory conferences for like people in computer science. You guys will like publish in conferences rather than journals. So a predatory place is something exactly like the word. They actually they are predators of science. They look for people who can pay some money, and they will literally publish anything. Like they will publish E equals to MC cube. They will publish anything, and they will give you the sense that you have published something reasonable, while actually they have no peer review system. They have nothing, and the worst part is a lot of predatory journals flourish very well in India.
That's what I was trying to understand. India is a very big breeding ground for these.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is this Beale's list of predatory journals, and a lot, and like approximately 25 to 30 of these journals are based in India.
God.
And there are professors, there are actual professors in government institutions and private institutions who actually publish over here, who actually ask their students to like contribute 25 or like 30K for a publication. I'm telling you, even the best journals in the world, they do not ask for any money. You can publish in Nature if you do not have any grant, you do not have any money. If you have a good paper, it gets peer reviewed and accepted, you can get it published in Nature without any fee.
Paying any fees. Wow. Okay.
But people don't know about it.
Wow. So I think publishing has to be authentic.
Absolutely, because eventually, people, like, the elite institutions are not seeing you as a student only. They are seeing you as a colleague, as a researcher, as someone who will contribute in their research records. So if they see that this is someone who has, predatory journals, or like, false journals on their CV, then that's going to look bad for them as well, because eventually they will use your CV to actually apply to like grants for, for themselves as well. And so, if you are going to be treated like an employee, you need to, act like one as well.
Wonderful. I totally agree. And that's such an important point. How do you see your coming 5-6 years down the line? I'm sure you're excited to start your, research at Vanderbilt. So what is your vision for next 5-7 years?
To be honest, to be really honest, I usually, I live my life in the sense that, I do not really expect things, in like any way. I just I just keep on doing my work and like hope for the best, and like, pray to God for the best, and pray to, basically for like blessings or like mentors like you and the other seniors. However, if I were to just say something, I would, I would like to keep on doing, good papers, and keep on writing even more papers. I have another book coming up with Professor Klopov as well.
Wow.
So yeah, more books, more papers. I will soon be giving bigger talks at like bigger places, some of those, and hopefully one more thing, the most important thing, try to give back to the community. I have had people, who have supported me wholeheartedly without any kind of like expectations from my side. Like I told about the Cambridge postdoc, like I know about you as well, right? So I want to also mentor students. I want to also help students who might be in similar ditches as I was, because as you said, I was doing stuff on my own for a long while. So like, as they say, अगर आप किसी रास्ते से आए हो तो आपको मालूम है वहाँ पे खड्डे वड्डे कहाँ हैं. So if somebody else is on that road, I would really like to help them. If they are American students, I would of course help them as a TA, at Vanderbilt and all. But like student from anywhere, if they are from India, if they are from Zambia, if they are from Korea, anywhere.
Wow. No, I think that's one of the best thoughts for the day, that you've seen a lot, you will see a lot, and then you would be able to, pass that whole learning to the fellow generation. That would be wonderful. My next question is little offbeat. You, in a way, you are a scientist, you are a physicist, and then at the initial conversation you said that you have a lot of influence of Lord Vishnu. People sometimes find this counterintuitive, science and religion, together. So have you felt any contradictions? Because some people say science is all logic, this is just a spiritual, or something religious. So I just want to have your experience and your own thoughts on this. It's different, but I would love to have you because you just mentioned that you had a lot of influence of Bhagavad Gita and Lord Vishnu.
Yeah, absolutely, and I will stay true to it to my last breath, actually.
Lovely.
So the thing is that so I this might seem a little contradictory, but I think that I'm not the hardest worker. I don't even think that I'm the smartest person ever. I mean, certainly,
But your stuff. That's what matters.
Yeah, but
I mean, as a passionate theoretical physicist, you have gone through the deepest of readings.
Yeah, but the thing is, for example, if we see the paths of people like Dhoni or like Cristiano, right? So sometimes what happens is, things somehow come in their path in the most favorable way. So like, Ronaldo played one pre-season friendly against Man United, and Sir Alex Ferguson just saw him and he was like, okay.
Yeah. Correct.
Right. Dhoni, he was a ticket collector. We all saw the movie, but one of his own seniors, they thought, नहीं, आप रणजी खेलो जाके, आप team में खेलो and all that. So I think there are people who work very hard, maybe as hard as me, more harder than me. There are maybe people very much smarter than me, but the fact that I have the achievements and the CV that I have right now, I mean, like I'm very thankful for this, but like one of my advisors said that they have never seen a CV as impressive as mine, and that is a person at an Ivy League institution.
Wow.
At my age, at 24 years, like years of age in theoretical physics. So I do not think that this is all due to me. I think it is due to the blessings of like mentors like you, blessings of my parents. But like most of all, I think there is some divine miracle.
There is some force above.
Yes, there is some force above which is like pushing me to my way. And the other thing is like I mentioned, I got to I got into contact with the right people at the right time. Like let's say if Chigag sir never told me to not publish in that journal,
Lovely.
I probably wouldn't have the connections I have now, because I would have kept on publishing in that journal. Like I can pinpoint a lot of moments in my life where things could have just gotten this way and the butterfly effect would have taken it somewhere else. But the fact that everything just came to one point, for things to happen in the right way, I certainly feel that there is some part. And I've been very thankful. I have read the Mahabharata, I have read Valmiki Ramayana, I have read Ramcharitmanas. I have read like I have read like more than 5 Puranas on my own: Padma Puran, Vishnu Puran, Shiva Puran.
Wow.
It's not like I just saw some TV serial and was, oh, that's fine. And I would say if you want knowledge about Hinduism, don't see TV serials. It is better to read on your own.
I totally agree to this.
And so and yeah, secondly, like for example, let's say if I never met you in 2019, right? I was still writing my papers, I was still doing that, but I wouldn't have got to know that actually this stuff can actually lead to this thing. Because when you talk with me, I got to know that there is some world abroad. It's actually achievable. You can achieve that with some research and all that. So I probably would have still kept on my research and all, but wouldn't have realized how it can materialize into something bigger. So what I realize is like I have some friends, they are some like some of my advisors are like Catholics, some are Jews, some are Hindus. So I have had like people of like all religions, and they have gone on to become wonderful physicists.
Wow.
In fact, and so it is not like we promote like pseudoscience and all that. We are not doing that. However, all of my advisors and even myself, we somehow realize that there is some power above. There is something which has helped us in our way.
We call religion, we call destiny. There is someone creating those dots and the path for you to walk.
As like Steve Jobs once said, right, that like in hindsight you can basically realize that how things have like happened. And in fact I would say that like I would like to like thank all of my 3 advisors actually. Here so it is Professor Robert Scherer. He is the so he's my main advisor at Vanderbilt.
Lovely.
My co-advisor is Professor Avi Loeb from Harvard. And if you have ever searched about physicist on Google, if you just search about him, he is the most searched physicist in the last 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
On Google, because he has done some amazing work on extraterrestrials. In fact, recently he went to the US National Congress.
Okay.
He was invited to actually give a talk on extraterrestrials in US National Congress. And my third advisor is he is my co-advisor from Princeton. His name is Paul Steinhardt. And interestingly, his advisor was Richard Feynman. So in some way there's this academic genealogy which we are following out, and in fact if you follow the academic genealogy of Professor Scherer, then that dates back to Isaac Newton.
Okay.
So the very fact that I have the mentorship, the guidance of like such people, when I met you 6 years back, or like when I was starting my stuff 2015, I wouldn't have thought that I would be writing papers with people who have written papers with Hawking, with all the stalwarts of physics. And so, in that sense, I certainly feel that there is something, my life has been a divine miracle so far. This day, having the chance to like talk with you like this is also kind of like a miracle for me. So yeah, that's why I certainly feel that there is, that there is something which is pushing me in this way. And like, I'm not sure, I mean, one can have their own Isht Devta, right? Say in Hinduism, but like even if it is for other religions, people can have their own Ishta Devtas. But like in my case, it is like the four-armed man is like very, very charming, very innocent at the same time, but very well that.
I can see that in your eyes, yes.
And so I genuinely love Lord Vishnu in every way.
God bless. On that wonderful note, I think we would like to end this wonderful interview. I'm inspired, Om, right? And with your humility, with your academic genius, with your research genius, we wish you all the best in the field of theoretical physics. And I'm sure you will do wonders. You will create that dent in science that you always wish to. You are on that wonderful journey. I think coming years in USA, we really would want to be curious. We want to remain in touch with you, what you do, and I'm sure you would inspire the fellow generations. And we hope to remain in touch to do the podcast on advanced levels in coming years in terms of your journey.
Your WhatsApp is like always going to be pinged by me.
Thank you so much. I highly appreciate you coming to our studio and inspiring the entire fraternity of scholars and future students. Thank you, Om. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.